Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Superintendents Unplugged, In Depth with Davis, the podcast where we'll dive deep into the world of educational leadership. I'm your host, Addison Davis, and I'm thrilled to have you join me as we embark on the inspiring journey together. As a superintendent once myself, I understand the challenges and complexities that come with leading a school district. But what I've come to realize is that there's abundance of amazing work being done by superintendents all across our country. This podcast is a platform to shine a spotlight on their incredible accomplishments and innovative approaches. Each episode will bring you exclusive interviews and superintendents from various districts across our country, both big and small, urban and rural, as they share their personal stories, triumphs, and even their moments of vulnerability. We will explore the strategies they employ to tackle the ever-evolving landscape of education, from fostering equity and inclusivity to embracing technology and preparing students for their future. But this podcast isn't just about showcasing success. It's about fostering a community of educational leaders who can learn from one another, share their experiences, and collectively navigate the complexities of our role. We'll discuss the tough topics as well, the difficult decisions, and the innovative solutions that are transforming education for the better. So while you're an educator, a parent, a student, or simply someone who's passionate about education, this podcast is for you. Superintendents Unplugged is your behind-the-scenes pass to the world of educational leadership, where we uncover the stories that inspire, motivate, and empower every one of us. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and entertained as we embark on this incredible journey together. I can't wait to introduce you to the remarkable superintendents who are changing the educational landscape one district at a time. Welcome to another episode of Superintendents Unplugged, In Depth with Davis. I'm your host, Addison Davis, here in Dallas, Texas at the 68th Annual Fall Conference for the Council of Great City Schools, where some of the greatest leaders are able to come, be able to share best practices, dive into trends and patterns, and be able to find proactive solutions, high impact yield solutions and strategies to accelerate learning. Today, we have the CEO of Cleveland Metropolitan School District. We have Dr. Warren Morgan. Thank you so very much for being here, Doc.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. You know what? A couple years in this work as superintendent, I got to ask, how's it going?
You know, it's been really good. It's been busy, fast-paced, but rewarding. We've had to make some really challenging decisions. It was a very challenging context to step into, which I'll talk about in a moment. But to be able to see progress, and particularly our state report card after this first year, it's very promising.
That's refreshing, right?
Yeah.
It usually takes time to put systems and processes and reap the rewards. But you know, we got quick wins. Let's jump right into it. The quick wins. What are we seeing in that report card?
Yeah, so our state report card showed that for the first time in history, our district met state standards for the very first time.
First time ever.
First time ever. We're
okay. So if they're bored and you're listening to this, watching this, this is an automatic extension. Okay, I mean multi-year. I don't know what the cap is. Give it to them.
Well, you know, and it definitely took many years of. There was lots of work that had happened prior to build the conditions that were there. But then there was a lot of strategic work we did last year, from implementing our strategic plan, data dashboards, the intentionality of our goals to align to the state report card, to have us be a 3-star district meeting state standards. And we're the only urban district in our state to have that designation. Only large urban district to have that designation. And the highest ranking large urban in the state.
So what's the recipe? All right. So we've been in there for a couple of years. What's the recipe to, the create of that lift? Yeah.
So, strong team.
Yeah.
You got to do this with a team. So a team that is like-minded, hard-working, focused in on results and data, and on working with the kids. A very strong board that's going to be supportive of the work that
supporting you to do the work.
Exactly. Right? And also is focused on goals and proactivity. And then a very strong plan that's aligned from the central office down to the schools. And so when I came in, I did a listen and learn tour, listening to many different stakeholders, both within the district and outside the district, to hear what's working, what's not working.
And what you can do differently.
Exactly. Yeah. And we got thousands of pieces of feedback, but that is what drove our plan. It drove our core values, our strategic priorities, and also our goals. And we drove set those goals at the central office and made sure that there were strategies all the way down to the schools.
So Doc, coming in, did you leverage that to revise or build a new strategic plan?
Yeah. So there was, of course, work that had been in place.
Sure.
I had worked in the district before, not immediately before, but I worked in the district before in the early years of my predecessor's tenure, Eric Gordon. And Eric Gordon had been there for 12 years.
Yeah.
Great work that Eric had led to set the conditions and, do some work. And then there was policy at the state, at the Cleveland plan that really helped leverage that work. But when I came in, worked with the Tuned Education Partners. They worked with Cleveland before, but I had worked with them in Indianapolis public schools and other districts and said, hey, we want to come in and really make sure we have a strategic plan that's focused in on the instructional core so that no matter what we're doing, budget cuts, all the tough stuff that we had to deal with last year, we will have a plan that's focused in on what's happening in the classroom and making sure that there's quality in the classroom, routine practices that are centralized, coherent throughout the system. And that's what led to our results and progress.
That's awesome. I mean, being laser focused and looking at, every facet of the organization to determine organizational impact, right? And really tighten it down. I mean, financially, we see across the nation, let's go back. The first time ever education was properly funded with ESSER. We were properly funded. That way we could do, I mean, and in that, I think that Doc, we missed the boat because as superintendents across this nation, we should have banded together and tried to show and demonstrate how we use that money, what the impact was, and fought legislators and the federal side of it to say, you know what? We need this money to be systemic. I mean, we appreciate the shot in the arm, right? It allowed us to be innovative, allowed us to be creative, allowed us to double down on content curriculum and selecting high quality curriculum and instructional materials. But a lot of that money kind of fizzled through, right? And started to separate. Now we had to make some hard decisions.
Tough decisions. And that was the context I walked into very early on, learning that we had major budget deficits that were coming largely due to the hole that the ESSER cliff was going to leave, because ESSER ended at, last school year. And so our budget was showing that over the next 2 fiscal years, we would have a negative ending cash reserve. And the state of Ohio says that any district that for the 2 fiscal years in the upcoming 5-year forecast shows that there's a negative balance at the end of the year, it's under fiscal watch. So we entered into fiscal watch in my first year. We needed to then find the $200 million of savings. I made a commitment not to cut at the school-based budgeting level, but to cut at central office. We made a commitment to do 10%, but we surpassed it by doing 12.6. But that was tough to come in.
I mean, that's a lot of money, a lot of people.
Exactly. To do that. We cut some programs that were working during the pandemic, but we had to make some tough decisions there. And all at the same time, all 9 of the union contracts were up for renegotiation. So I negotiated all 9 of those.
Money.
Exactly. And we gave, while making those cuts, we also gave our staff the highest raises they had seen. Because even though people knew we had a financial reality, they were like, hey, cost of living, you guys haven't given us what we needed.
Hold on, man. It's live.
So we did all of those, and that was really challenging, and especially with the political context of the work that we were doing it in. But to be able to still see that while making those tough decisions, cutting back, we were still able to achieve that academic success really shows the strength of, one, a strong plan focused in on the instructional core, but then also the importance of sticking through the work and being resilient, even when it's really tough.
Right. I mean, tough decisions. I mean, but the thing of being able to give all these cuts you've had to make, all these reductions in protecting the school, that's a celebration. I mean, that's hard to do, right? When you're cutting. But then really navigating through the right systems, the right structures, adopting the right processes, the right curriculum, content supports, wraparound services, and then getting back to a base. But at the same time saying, you know what, while we're making all these hard decisions, we're going to elevate staff and show, you know what, we've got you. I mean, it had to be rewarding, right?
It was.
And people were probably saying, hey, we don't understand. How do you have money to do this when you're doing this?
Exactly. Right? There were.
But that's the right thing to do.
It is. And what I found is people were more concerned about what we were doing with our administrative budget.
Yeah.
So like our salary. So one of the things, even though everyone else got a raise, we froze executive level salaries.
Smart.
We also put administrative
Position.
spending controls. But we found that the community, because also we're on the ballot this November for a tax increase. So, but we found through our polling that people believe in our teachers, people believe in our bus drivers and custodians, and they say, you know what, those are the people that they actually need more money. They deserve more resources. So
will the referendum pay for that?
The referendum will help with that because we negotiated a definite 2 with a potential of a 3-year contract. And so
multi-year contract's the way to go.
Yeah. So that will help us, and it'll also help us to improve some of our facilities.
Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. You know what? The courage to be able to go out to the community and say, listen here, we need your help.
Yep.
You know, we appreciate any state funding we get, federal funding we may get. We're grateful for it. But honestly, sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah. Yep.
And, you know, I don't know about, you know, when you look in Ohio, but in Florida, I think we're around $8,500 per student.
Wow.
Yeah. Where are y'all?
We're roughly around there. Well, in terms of what our budget is set up for, in terms of the spending, we're at about $17,000 per student. But that's still not fully funded. And so when we think about our funding structure, of course, we get funding this from the state. With our poverty rates and levels, we don't get it's not as weighted or equitable in terms of
no additional funding set aside to be able to address the inequities in the district.
Exactly. And it's heavily reliant on property taxes. And here's the other thing in Ohio, and our
that can be up and down.
Exactly. And our chief financial officer just pulled this data that showed since 1976, there have been 12,711 tax levies in the state of Ohio for school districts.
Wow.
That's not how many have passed, but that's how many there have been.
Wow.
But that just shows a fundamental problem with the funding structure that is so heavily reliant on that. And it's hard because we've been on a cycle where every 4 years we're going to the community and they're like, okay, when is it going to get better? When is it going to get better? And, there's only so many times you can do that. Exactly. So, and of course we have other hard decisions ahead of us. We have potential, school impacts or, looking at the work that we're doing. But, none of that's easy.
It's, so is the referendum only you can do 4 years? Is that the max?
No, you can do it.
That's just
that's just the cycle that it's been. It's the cycle that it's been.
Listen, I get it. Asking for a 10-year or 15-year, it'd be nice. But you know what? It goes back to where you said, underfunded mandates. This is why we've got to find the right lobbyists and superintendents got to band together across the state to say, you know what, these are the greatest priorities that we have. We need additional funding to do it. This is what ESSER did well. And this is the impact that we've seen from it. Fund this and let us grow and strive.
And that's what my hope is. Of course, we're in a presidential election year. No matter how it goes, I know that just through many different efforts, there will probably be some type of relief. I don't think it'll ever be to the size that ESSER was. I agree. But I do believe we have some type of program coming because districts across the country are saying wow, we're struggling.
We need
and the
help.
Needs are still there. We need help.
Thank you for recognizing that. And, our hope is that we listen, we get it. There's two things that drive budgets. Healthcare is one. Education's two. Healthcare will always lead. Education will be second. But we got to do better with doubling down educational funding to be able to do it. Because, listen, when we talk about innovation, we talk about stackable credentials, we talk about being able to allow our families to select the best, pathway for the learners. For us to do it, honestly, it takes money. It takes courage. But it takes money for us to create systemic change in that side of it. So, for you, we talk about superintendents that maybe aspire to do this work and to grow. Any recommendations that you may have for those who really want to come into this position?
Yeah. So a few things I would share. One, I would say it's important to have mentors in this work. I have so many mentors and executive leaders that have either done this work or retired just to bounce ideas off of. And I found that this community, particularly being here at the council and all the work that we do here, people are always willing to say, how can I help? No questions off the table. And that's just really helpful. So I would say reach out to people, not only while you're in the seat, but before you're in the seat. Two, I would say it's important to look at those mentors and look at the people to see what their paths are, but no path. There's not a set path.
Yeah.
It looks different, for everyone.
And that's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I've been an educator. I was a principal, but I also worked in policy. I did work at the state level. I worked at the White House, and everybody's path is different. There are people that have come from different backgrounds to this role. And so don't count yourself out. Don't count yourself out. And we need diverse leaders from diverse backgrounds in this work. And the third thing I would say is it is really hard. So even as I sat up here and I talked about the academic progress we had and the budget cuts that we did, you listen to people and you listen to leaders and you're like, oh, they make it sound easy and it's probably something special they have. No, it's hard. It's hard. And I'll be very transparent with that. But I will say we need strong leaders to come into this work. And there is a piece of sacrifice, personal sacrifice that comes in this work.
Personal big.
The personal scrutiny you will get, the scrutiny
living
that
that
you will get.
house.
Yeah, exactly. Even when people don't know you. But I will say our kids need it, and they need people that are going to fight for them. And so for that, I say it's worth it. And if you have that network, that village I was talking about in point one, you'll be able to sustain no matter how it goes. And so that would be my advice for people that are aspiring to get in the seat.
Well, Doc, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for leveraging the council. The council has been a great organization to be able to lift, to create the best educational space and minds together. Yeah. And for you, we wish you nothing but great health and in your work and great speed. I mean, continue to have that trajectory and the ceiling we haven't even begun to see it from your leadership. I feel it and look forward to it, Doc. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Until next time, you've heard it. Addison Davis with Superintendents Unplugged, In Depth with Davis. We have Dr. Warren Morgan from Cleveland Metropolitan School District doing really great things. Follow him, look up, watch what he's doing. This is someone to watch, folks. Until next time, I look forward to seeing you in the classrooms.